Hello everybody, welcome to the fourth quality update for SSG Education and Training. My name's Danny Burke, I'm Director of Quality Assurance. Getting straight into it, we're just going to be looking at the headlines. 432 successful achieved candidates which have gone through. That is the same number as the previous update report, and the reason for that is that we're waiting on several cohorts of functional skills exams to come back to us, hopefully very successful. And again, we've just had a couple of SV reports come through, super successful. Jen McQuaid has got us through that, so I'm sure we'll be seeing a much bigger increase in numbers on the next report. Next up, we've had an increase of 4 more learning walks and formal observations passed from the last bi-weekly update. This is the biggest increase that we've had here. We've had a further 16 courses which have been internally verified. So Steve Alumni has been extremely busy supporting with Jenna and myself, and we've been looking at the IQA processes for those courses, which is a fantastic number. And then our overall survey course is a steady at 8.81. What can we do to elevate that to our KPI target of 9? We're nearly there, but the fact that it is consistent at that point is really positive, especially when we find ourselves in the middle of a pandemic. Data then. So currently, looking across the whole department, there has been a big shift in data and the reporting of data. So we're looking at a 70% retention, which is a huge decrease from last time. Achievement at 78%, where we've got 28 candidates that seemingly have not achieved for their own personal reasons. And then we're looking at a really decent high attendance of 93.78. So looking at retention, bearing in mind over the 4 weeks, we've had 3 lots of data come in. We've seen a drastic shift into retention there. That is, I predict, more to do with the way that we're reporting data, rather than it actually being a fall of nearly 30%. I don't see that on the front line, but it is a conflict that we are looking at. So hopefully in the next bi-weekly, we'll have a visual image that maybe looks like it's plateauing out or even up and increasing more. Achievement, again, we have seen a big dip in that. We've seen a gradual decrease and then a decrease quite heavily over there. That may well be that it's down to the numbers coming through on courses, enrollments not going through, and the data accuracy. We are looking at the PICs as we've updated before, and as soon as that comes in, we're using one data set to be able to report against, rather than live data, which is continuously changing. And as I speak to you now on Monday, that process of a month's worth of data will have been updated as well accurately. So if I was to look at this tomorrow, it may well have shifted again. So hopefully again next week, in 2 weeks time, we will see a sharp increase in that achievement rate. Positive data news is that it's proving what I think is right around the data, is the fact that our attendance is actually increasing. So we're steadily increasing week on week, session on session, which is fantastic. If we have people attending, the likelihood is that they are engaging, and if they're engaging and staying with us, then their attendance must be up. So the factual attendance, this is what goes out of our doors, so we do know that this is 100% accurate, and therefore we're more likely to lean on this as a data set than a more grayer achievement and retention. Okay, so champion, one of our 4 Cs. I've mentioned Steve already, there he is. Steve has had an involvement, as has Jenna, this time through, and will do in the future with our update reports. He's just given us a bit of champion in there, what he's seen over the last few weeks. Some of you are aware he's only been with SSG for a few weeks. He is predominantly an internal verifier for us, but he is looking at development work with tutors and trainers, but also some of the IQA admin as well, and even development work on programs in the future. It's clear the tutors are all very competent and have demonstrated a good standard of assessment. So that is fantastic praise from somebody who has got a wealth of knowledge, a good background in this, and he's come in to support us even further. So you've made a good impression on him in the first few weeks of him being here, which is fantastic. From that perspective, and indeed a quality standpoint, that is what fundamentally important. Okay, it's really good to see in education and a massive positive. So well done, everybody. And I'm sure that that is well received from you guys, because again, Steve's now part of the SSG family, but he is still new to this, but he is not new to the role of being internal verifier. So he would tell us if things weren't as good as he would want them to be. Okay, so looking at another championing section, we've been looking at functional skills recently over the last couple of months, with a real kind of influx on speaking and listening, with those formative and summative processes going through. That's included a lot of verification that's been going on. He has been delighted here, Steve, again, about the standard of the assessment coming through, which is fantastic. It really does put us in a good position with our external awarding bodies. And again, it's important that we don't forget that we are all focused on the candidate, and that's what we want you to be. Behind the scenes, we are then collating this evidence to make sure that we can physically claim their certificate at the end of their course. And as you can see there, the quality team are very, very much happy with the kind of standard verification that's in place. And then hopefully when the audit comes in the next few weeks, which we are expecting imminently, we should sail through that with my fingers crossed. Big acknowledgement here. So individually, well done, Priska. Priska's stepped up into a kind of a new role within the last 6 months, really driving forward the focus on functional skills and the influence on GCSEs and the delivery around that, being really influential there and made a massive and successful impact. There are another champion here that we want to have a shout out for, having spoken to Stephen today, is Amy. So Amy has been hitting all targets, all deadlines, really high standard of submission of assessment, but also across the right templates, and has really made an impression on Steve. So well done there, Amy. Okay, so challenges, one of our 4 C's again. Key thing that's coming through from reports that we're looking at, sense checks, is a kind of consistency with document and uploads. So making sure that we remember, guys, that there has been a shift and an update in documents and templates. Make sure you are using the right ones, so program trackers. And not only that, but make sure you are saving them centrally onto the Padlet. It's really important when we look at our jobs as IQAs that we get a whole view of the picture of the course without having to come and use up your time and speak to you and speak to the candidates. And program trackers and the Padlet as a whole is a really good way for us to do what needs to be done without taking up any more of your time. So please, please make sure that not only are you using the correct program tracker and the correct supportive documents, but you are actually submitting them regularly onto the Padlet. If you are unaware of this, if you are querying things or you've just got a couple of questions, please, please speak to your line manager, failing that one of the quality team. There is not a silly question, but if you bury your head into this and it's not quite right, there'll be a huge amount of work to do at the end of a course, and that is something we definitely don't want for you guys. Okay, so please ask those questions. What's on the 3rd C? So what's changing? So on the horizon, imminently really, Jen and Lisa have been working together to improve the kind of the way that we deliver, the way that we look at the learning that the candidate has and the assessment processes they go through, especially around the non-accredited, which is sometimes deemed to be as less of important around the evidencing of learning. That couldn't be further from the truth. If anything, it's more important that we need to evidence exactly how well and how much progression the individual candidate has actually made. So what is going to be looking like? We're looking at the inclusion of Google Classrooms, Google Drive, and using those two systems to be able to collate and save the evidence that we need through Google Forms for non-accredited evidence. Please don't panic if all that is gobbledygook to you. I'm sure it's not, but we will be updating you with guidance documents, with voiceovers, and then you will have CPD available to you as and when you need it. But this is already been piloted at the minute with the new NHS and the digital media program. We're hopefully going to have some kind of impact assessment on that in the next couple of weeks, and a couple of tweaks that we would always need to do on the review, and then we'll have that rolled out to you guys. So further updates then. Okay, so Jenna has been out and about virtually over the last couple of weeks. Feedback from her is fantastic. She's really enjoyed that. She has been really pleased to be well received by yourselves and the candidates, which is fantastic. Specific themes that she's been looking at, so not just the kind of the content, but are our candidates engaging with the content of the sessions? Are they progressing the learner and learning through the observed sessions? So they are really kind of specific themes that we do look at within these learning walks, rather than trying to give you information about everything. The reason for that, well, we like to look at our 3 I's, as we always do within our planning and with our delivery elements. Well, we need to do that and make sure that we give you the feedback that is going to help you develop a more accurate intent, to be able to give you some suggestions on how you're going about implementing, and then giving you challenges to be able to question whether you are making that impact, or even more than you think you are. Okay. What's on the horizon? So upcoming learning walk theme for March, okay, is around behavior and attitudes. So this isn't always about are our candidates sitting in their place of work and paying full attention to you. It could be a wider picture around that. So a couple of things to kind of get your brain thinking around that without actually quoting too much around the education inspection framework. Okay, but we're going to be looking at the punctuality and the attendance, which is ongoing. What has happened in the past? Are we seeing any patterns? Are your candidates attending, but not just attending, but on time? What are the professional boundaries within the sessions? Are you enforcing that? Do you have to enforce it because it's already accepted that that's a high standard that you are wanting to see? Are we linking those professional boundaries to the industry that they're going to go into? Okay. Are you challenging any behaviours? Those high expectations are there, but is it being followed through? Are they understanding what's expected of them? And are you actually demonstrating those behaviours that we would expect to see? Candidates' attitudes to their education and training. Are they open to stretch and challenge? Are they wanting more? Are they seeing the worth of doing those homework challenge, those distance learning? Are they looking at where they can progress to off the back of doing their work? If they are taking pride in their work, are they aware of, actually, I don't just want to do the bare minimum, I want to push on, and this is beneficial to me because of X, Y, and Z. So finally, looking at another upcoming, so the Department for Education, I mentioned this in the COVID update report that was sent out from the directors and founding director from Chris, looking at the Department for Education that released the agreement to defer any formal exam process for GCSE candidates, and we will be going back to teacher assessments to influence the grades that they would have achieved if they were in a exam situation. So if you're interested or you want to know a bit more, the link is there. This Padlet is going to be saved on, this PowerPoint will be saved on the Padlet in the quality. And if you want access to that, just go through there and click the link. The quote that we are referring to, and the main part of that kind of report, is that we will basically be able to do what we have done in the first lockdown towards the end. So as long as we are looking at evidencing, justifying our accuracy with a predicted grade for each of our candidates across maths and English and the different areas of that, we have up until the 18th of June to submit that. Okay, so what does that mean to us? Keep doing what you've been asked to do. Keep pushing on, making sure that we are working towards a progression in learning. Every session, people need to be progressing in their understanding. And are we evidencing that progression? Okay, we have the processes and policies off the back of the first lockdown, which I was pleased to say that we were 100% successful for with all our submissions, so well done. We are reviewing this at SLT level, as you would hopefully expect us to be doing. We should be able to give you a formal procedure and plan in the next few days. Okay, hopefully you've not fell asleep, but if you have, you've missed anything, or you are confused, you want some questions or query, contact me on that email address or give me a ring and a message on that number. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your week at work, and I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks for your attention, guys.